Hey, co-reporters, welcome back to my channel. Let me just adjust this a little bit. How are you? Happy Thursday. It feels like a Friday already, doesn't it? I feel like with all that I've been up to this week, it feels like, okay, it's Friday. Let the week just roll over into the next one. So we've got a lot to discuss today in this recap of Kailyn Lowry's Baby Mama's No Dramas podcast. I almost said Coffee Convos because I had just been listening to the Coffee Convos podcast. But spoiler alert, in the Coffee Convos podcast, this woman is so bitter about the fact that she is not in the Teen Mom Family Reunion show. I know they approached her, so it's not like they didn't approach her. She just felt like it was her idea and she needed to be given a certain level of credit, like a producer credit or something or whatever. And that's why she's like really upset about it, like going on and moving forward without her being present. And it really shows in the way that she makes these like really like petty, like smart mouth comments about some of the other girls. So for example, Jade is her target. Kale loves Ashley Jones, okay? And so Jade is her current target when it comes to this show. So anytime she has a moment to say something petty towards Jade, she will take that opportunity. Like I tweeted earlier, if you follow me on Twitter, like, does Kale have a personal beef with Jade? Because it really is starting to look like she does. The way she keeps going, like she was like making fun of Jade's voice and everything. I was like, girl, you're on the same franchise. Like, calm down, okay? Hi, Monica. Hi, Shannon Van. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, Shannon Van has an amazing YouTube channel. I just put the link to her channel in case you have not yet subscribed. You need to subscribe. It is so good. And hi, Piper. And hi, everybody else watching as well. So, okay, let's just get into this episode of the podcast recap. And please, if you're enjoying this video, as it proceeds, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. If we get a certain amount of thumbs up, I will drop a photo for you guys. Let me see. How many likes do we have so far, you guys? I see we have over 100 viewers, but how many likes do we have? If we get a total of, let's say, 200 and something likes, I will drop a photo that goes along with the story, but it's a personal photo that I have not shared and I'm really nervous to share. So let's get into the top of this Baby Mama's No Dramas podcast. So Kailyn V had this like guest guy come in as like this guy they were interviewing. I forgot his name. It was like something Beard. And he is like a single father or like a co-parent, the father side of a co-parenting situation. And they talk with him. But before that, Kale talks about how she wants to get a nose job. She's been mentioning this for a while, you guys, okay? Hi, Just for the Tea. Nice to see you. She's been mentioning this for a while, you guys. And so it's no surprise to me. It's not shocking. What was interesting was the fact that she just started going towards consultations for it, which I think is a very good thing. If you want to get something done, you need to go and get your consultations, get as many as possible done. Just to make sure that you're going to find the right surgeon for you. And so Kale talked about going through one surgeon, and the surgeon told her that the situation with her nose. So let me pull up a photo of Kale for you guys. So the situation with her nose, he says, is that it's over rotated, which means that you can see basically like up her nostrils or whatever. It's a little bit too high. So he would actually de-rotate her nose, which is quite interesting because typically people's noses droop, right? Like your average person, their nose is, I didn't even know my nose was droopy before I got into this world and before I had, my own situation done. So it was very fascinating to me that hers was over rotated. Yeah, obviously people can have rotated ones. Like I've seen a couple, but it is quite fascinating. So that's the thing that the guy wanted to do. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting, but is she going to do anything else? I don't think she really talked about any, I believe she said that she wanted to do a little bit of an Aller base reduction or something like that, or maybe refine the tip. I'm not sure. But outside of the nose job, she said that she also wanted to potentially get a boob job. So according to Kale, there's a little bit of a misconception that she went ahead and got a boob job done when she was doing her liposuction and her Brazilian butt lift and all of that stuff. But she's like, no, I did not get one done, but I am currently considering getting one done. And so That's another thing that is potentially on her to-do list. And then at this point, her co-host V says that she was actually considering getting a boob job once upon a time because she's not happy with the way that her breasts look now that, you know, she's had a child and she's nursed a child and everything. She says that she used to be really, really proud of her boobs. They were like the most amazing boobs ever. She was like, you know, I used to have a very full C cup. And then when I was pregnant and breastfeeding and stuff, it was like a double D, which was too big for me. It was giving me back problems. And now I'm back to a C, but it's not the same full round C cup that I used to have. It's what V herself would describe as a quote unquote saggy C cup. And she's not happy with it, but she's not into the idea of getting a a boob job because, you know, she's heard a lot of horror stories. I don't know if you guys have. Let me know in the chat if you've had issues with this. Breast implant illness stories, right? So like sometimes people claim that they get, immune compromised or whatever as a result of breast implants. Or some people just don't take to them very well. I know this girl. So there's a girl who got a rhinoplasty around the same time I got one. And she also paired it with a boob job. So this was in March. And so she did the two of them together. And when she got up from the surgery, it wasn't the nose that was like bothering her or anything like that. Like that's whatever, right? It's easy peasy. It was the boob job. And so she constantly was under stress. Like she woke up in a panic. She had a panic attack when she woke up from the surgery because of the foreign objects in her body. And it was too much for her. And she always felt uncomfortable. So she waited, I believe, 6 months. This was a couple of months ago that she had them removed. Imagine, right? Like you have this surgery because you wanted a boob job, you wanted this like specific look, you get it, and it's just too much, you know, and you get it removed like within months. I believe it was like 6 months was as soon as she can get it out, or 8 months or something like that. But I believe it was like 6-7 months or something like that she had them taken out. Actually, I think it was in October. So March to April, April to May, May to June, June to July, July to August, August to September. So 7 months about that she had gotten them removed. So I'm like, oh my God, maybe that is the type of thing that V is worried about. Monica, I'm looking at the like count. I'm like, all right. Let's see. How do they want this photo? You guys, please give this video a thumbs up if you want to see a photo, a personal photo that I'm going to share to get into this journey that we're talking about right now with you guys. By the way, Daisy, thank you so much for this super sticker. And thank you so much for being here. That is so amazing. And hi, May as well. Yeah, it seems like the trend right now is getting rid of breast implants. And it's also getting rid of, they're not butt implants. It's like fat transfers, but somehow getting rid of the fat transferred into your booty is another big thing, right? Like people are saying that the Kardashians are minimizing their BBLs. And of course, a lot of people who get BBLs, whether they want to admit it or not, did it because, you know, they wanted to kind of model after the Kardashians or like a Nicki Minaj or like a whatever, right? So yeah, it seems like, you know, people are going a little bit more natural or sleek or whatever in terms of their silhouettes. Hi, Jennifer. I got them done for the same reason as V, and I have no regrets so far. That's awesome. Good for you. How long has it been, by the way, Jennifer? I asked because people talk about like sometimes, you know, if whatever doesn't happen now, then it happens like if you don't get them switched out within a certain amount of time or whatever. So V says that she's considering getting a breast lift instead of a boob job because again, she doesn't like the idea of having like foreign implants in her body. And then Kale mentioned that the surgeon that she was talking to mentioned the possibility of getting a bra. What does that look like? I forgot to Google. I want to Google. What does it look like to have a like internal bra put into your body? Let me go in here. Has anyone like heard of someone getting that internal bra surgery? I'm scared. I want to see what the results look like, but I'm kind of scared. I'm picturing like a metal, like, you know, whatever. But yeah, so okay, it doesn't look too bad because the surgeon that Kail was consulting with told her that the scarring from breast lifts, which is the vertical scarring right here, isn't very beautiful. And so that freaked her out from it. And V also said herself that she was aware that the scarring from breast lifts was a little bit gnarly. So she's not sure that she would even get a breast lift either. She's kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them at this point. So yeah, one thing I will say to people who are interested in like a breast lift for whatever is that these days, I kept seeing this on my TikTok. They have like this this tattooing, scar tattooing. So you can get a scar you can get a tattoo in your skin color pigment so that it fades out the scar from like a surgery or whatever. So that's a little bit something to keep in mind. So you haven't seen it either, just for this. Yeah, like I really want to see what this looks like because that sounds a little bit fascinating. So they talk a little bit about that. Another thing that Kail's doctor told her was that she would have to go ahead and lose the 30 to 50 pounds that she's been talking about wanting to lose because if he were to give her a lift or an implant or whatever, and then she went ahead and dropped that drastically of amount of weight, 30 to 50 pounds, they would sag at the end of the day, which means that it would have been a waste of time. Kind of like the BBL. Remember how Kail went ahead, got this BBL, got that lipo, got whatever. Her body snatched just to go ahead and get pregnant within the same year. Like, it's a waste of time at the end of the day, and it's just not good for your results. I feel like it probably just like botches your results, if anything. So he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. If you are planning to lose this much weight, come back to me if that is indeed your goal. I personally want to say that I'm not sure it's very smart to get the same doctor who's going to work on your nose to work on your boobs. You know, typically you want people who specialize in one area or the other, or have like two specialties max or something like that. Maybe this guy's specialties are nose and breast, but like not really a jack of all trades situation. Like the girl I knew who got her implants taken out a couple months after getting them, she had two surgeons work on her at not at the same time, but on the same day. So the nose happened, and then like right as he was finishing, they started on the boob job or whatever. So like it was very like stacked, as we like to call it in that world. So yeah, that's basically what they were talking about a little bit there. And then we get back into Kail kind of wanting to have another kid. Yeah, you guys, she's considering potentially having a fifth child with a fourth man because the chaos she's already got in her life is not it's not enough. She needs a little bit more action. She needs a little bit more spice. Add a little bit of spice. May says not to be an ass, but she always films when she goes to the gym. Her most recent stint lasted 2 days. You know, people who film themselves going to the gym are so funny to me. Just do your workout in peace, please. Unless you're like a fitness influencer. If you're making money off that or whatever, go for it. But like when your friends do a stint like that, like once in a blue moon, like, and it's in January typically or February or something like that, then they fall off. It's a little bit funny. That doesn't surprise me, May. Rachel, my cousin got that scar tattooing after he got into a car accident and had his cheeks sliced through. He got it done 20 to 25 years ago and it helped. So I know it's gotten better in 2022. See, it's amazing, right? Like these tattoos help in so many ways just to help people feel more confident in their skin. I'm really happy that the technology has been around, you know, all this time. And now it seems like it's like a specialized, like scar tattooing, not just like any tattoo artist. You know what I mean? Like someone who specializes in this. So that's amazing. And I'm glad your cousin's okay, by the way, Rach, which is crazy because she has nanny and only 50% custody. You know, if you're not motivated to the gym, you are not going to go, right? Because there's a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands who just don't go because it's just not their vibe, you know? I feel like you have to really be into like the mentality and stuff. You got to like conquer your mind and like adjust it to being into the gym. Portia says that poor future child and baby daddy. You know what? Perfect segues, Portia, because Kail was being, or Petty Betty was being her typical messy, passive aggressive self in this interview with that guy, that single father guy. I don't even know where to start, okay? So let's go back to her saying that she's open to the idea of having a fifth kid by a fourth man, which already to me is a little bit like, really, sis? You're not tired of all the drama? Like, I don't know. It's just so much. It is. It's a lot. So and the thing about that is it was the dumbest statement ever because she said that she wanted to have this fifth kid with somebody before getting married to them because it's the ultimate test to decide whether or not they're actually good for each other and should get married. Does that make any sense to any of you? Because to me, it does not make a single lick of sense. This was something that she said, and then the single father guy or whatever who was on the podcast with her, he agreed with it. And I don't remember if Vee agreed with it or not. Like we know Vee and Jo had their child, Valise, before they got married, but I don't know if it was for this purpose. But Kail's like, yeah, I want to have another kid with somebody, but I want to have the kid before getting married to them, because having a kid is like the ultimate test of your relationship. And if you survive, especially like the first 2 years of like child rearing together, then you're okay to go ahead and get married. And it means you're good for each other. But what if you don't? And now you've got this kid and this guy that you don't get along with, and then you got all these other kids and all these other guys that you already don't get along with, because Petty Betty does not get along with anybody, right? So I just felt like, wow, like these people seriously lack logic. It's so incredible to me how their minds work. Like like this is so insane. I wonder if like your thinking process changes when you already have kids versus if you were child free. You know what I mean? Like right now in my situation, like not having kids, it's like I'm very much like I can pick up, go anywhere, anytime. I am not bound by a single thing. So if I am going to mess this up for myself, it better be, for like a very, very specific type of person and situation that works and fits for me, and that I really believe it's not going to be like a test dummy situation. Like, should we get married? Let's try have a kid, see if we break up or not. Like, I'm not going to mess this up for no reason. Like, does your rationale change, or is she just a little bit off in terms of her thinking? I'm really curious about that, you guys. Jen says, I understand that everyone has a right to have however many kids they want, but I do think making sure you have the emotional capacity, to give each child the best of yourself. I completely agree. And so far, I don't know, she's proven that she has the emotional capacity, with the way that she's been running around treating these baby daddies and these kids in the midst of these breakups, right? That's how you know she's not changed. You attract what you are, and communication can be tested before a kid, right? Like you can't communicate without throwing a kid in there and like using them as like a little test dummy. It's wild to me. I really genuinely do not understand. Right, Shan? It is backwards. It truly is. Portia says she needs to work on communication with spouses before bringing in another innocent life. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, I'm glad I'm not going crazy. I was like, there's no way she really believes this, right? Like, do people really think like this? Jen says, I have 3 kids and I would not have Kail's approach to having kids. Yeah, you seem a little bit too reasonable for that, Jen. May says, no, girl, I had a kid with my high school sweetheart. The red flags were there before. I just ignored them. Honestly, that's one thing about relationships. The red flags are always there at the very beginning, and we all, myself included, ignore them. So sometimes you're like, you know what? Maybe we can work on this, or maybe like they'll change. You know what I mean? Like they'll grow out of it or something. And no, you got to pay attention at the beginning. It's true, May. Don't beat yourself up. I feel like we all ignore red flags every once in a while. So they all kind of like talk about that, which I thought was a little bit weird, but whatever. We all know Kail at this point, right? So with her logic, it truly is not surprising that she wound up in the exact same situation that she currently is. Like, it's like, yeah, of course you're going to end up like that if you have this type of logic. I see, by the way, guys, we are at 95 likes. We are close to me dropping the photo, the mystery photo from my secret archives. It's a photo of me recovering when I had my rhinoplasty surgery. One thing I wanted to say backing up to that is actually I don't know. Do you guys like it when people or like public figures or whatever are kind of open about these sorts of things, or do you prefer it when they keep you guessing? Or not, like, just so long as they're not like lying, like, and like trying to sell you something and saying, oh, if you do this you'll get this. Like, so for example, Kylie's lips, I felt like it was wrong for her to not be open about having her lips done, because then she was trying to say, oh, I was sucking on a bottle cap and then it gave me big lips. And then all these young girls did it and they were starting to have issues, right? Like they would pop blood vessels in their lips. Then she claimed that it was a specific lipstick that she was, of course, selling. So she was really exploiting people and manipulating it. I don't think that's correct. But if she just was minding her own business, the way Kendall minds her own business with her, fake lips, the way Kim does, the way whatever, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like when people are a little bit too open, I don't like that either. I feel like if you're a little bit too open. So for example, me, when I didn't want to say anything, it was because I don't want to encourage people to go ahead, because, anytime you go ahead and get surgery or whatever, it is risky. So if you're a little bit too open, and I feel like since I've been here in France, I noticed that like the reality stars and stuff are so open about getting surgery, and they get surgery all the time. Like they are And it's shocking because the image that we have of like, people here in France or whatever is that they're very natural and effortlessly chic or whatever. But there's a lot of plastic surgery in the reality world, more than I saw watching American television or Canadian television. Well, we don't really have, but so American television, and I felt like they were way too open to the point where it was just also a bad thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, she claimed Lex was a miracle baby, and then she went back on that. Like, you can't believe a word she says. So now, Kale then kind of shades Jo a little bit later on in the podcast episode, right in front of his wife, Vee. Kale, I feel like at least a couple of times has shaded Jo in front of Vee, and Vee has never really stepped up to defend her husband. And I don't know. I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this. Is this a little bit odd to you? I kind of feel like she's more interested in podcast fame and not rocking the boat with Kale than she is in defending her husband and her own family sometimes, So the guy who was featured on the podcast, he was talking about being a very hands-on father. And he tried to get 80-20 custody with his baby mama at first because she wasn't very stable when they had the child together and stuff. And then she eventually kind of stepped up. And so he decided to have like the 50-50 situation. And Kale then compliments him on being a very hands-on father. And then she claims of her baby daddies, there are 3 of them, Javi is the baby daddy, the one that she would describe as being a very hands-on dad, which I find very strange because Jo, Vee's husband Jo, is the one who moved across states to be with his child, and he fought to get that 50-50 custody. And not only Jo, but Vee, who was just his girlfriend at the time, she followed him there. She uprooted her own life to move with Jo to Delaware so that he could be a hands-on father, an involved father, a 50-50 custody father with his child. And Kale is going to sit there and act like her only baby daddy, who was very hands-on and involved, is Javi. And I'm like, sis, she's not only disrespecting your man, but she's disrespecting you at this point and all the sacrifices that you made to be around her child. And I don't understand how Vee could have just sat there and not said anything about it. Honestly, sometimes she gives me Boo the Fool. Sometimes she gives me clown. Sometimes she gives me clout chaser at any at any cost. I feel like she's lucky that Jo does not listen to this podcast, because I feel like if Jo listened to this podcast, I don't know how long, I don't want to speak ill of their marriage, but I feel like they would have issues if Jo listened to that podcast, because Kail is always low key dissing him and Vee's always kind of like just there, like talk crap about him. It's all good. Like, I'm here, I'm getting my podcast coins. And I don't know how long that would fly or last with him if you were paying close attention. Shan says, I like when they own up to it. I think it's important because the people who look up to them know it's paid for. True. So many people think beauty now is looking like a Bratz doll. Also true. Yeah. I feel like if they acknowledge it, but also talk about the gravity of their decision, whatever, versus the whole casual, like Chrissy Teigen, for example. Okay. Chrissy Teigen, she's always showing all of the casual surgery she's going through. And it's like, sis, it's not that casual. You gotta warn people that, at the end of the day, what I'm doing is for my own, whatever, personal, whatever, but it is risky. So I'm not advising you to do this as well. You know what I mean? Hang on. I have to put this on mute so I open my water bottle. Okay, so here we go. Now, they talk a little bit more, or maybe let me get back to your comments, you guys. I'm sorry. I saw a bunch of comments just poured in. Jennifer, Jo fought hard for his son. She tried to cut him out when they were younger, but he stood his ground. Jo was a teen at that time too. Exactly. So the fact that she makes light of it and acts like only Javi is involved just because they're doing that whole football thing together and maybe even knocking boots is a little bit insulting. Piper says, hi, Piper. Greedy vibes from Vee to put up with that from Kale. Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess that's why Jo ignores her when she tries to communicate. Yeah, I could totally see that as well. Shan, I said 200 likes for me to spill the tea sorry, for me to drop the photo. I need at least 200 likes, y'all. Rachel, Jo is a good father. He honestly just stays in his lane. When the relationship was done, it was done. Yeah, he didn't play mind games with their child. I completely agree. So now, she kind of laughs about the fact that Jo actually moved 3 hours closer to be closer. Sorry, she next decides to shade Chris Lopez. So she laughs about the fact that Jo moved 3 hours to be closer to Isaac, but Chris won't even, move 1 hour to be closer to his two kids. And I found it funny that she's making fun of that while she's completely ignoring the fact that she even had to make an active father drive 3 hours to be close to his kid, right? In the first place. And not only that, but then once they're all living in Delaware, her, Jo, Javi, she moves even further away to be closer to the guy who's a deadbeat, in her own words. So she moved the kids even further from their active parents. So it's like she never really acknowledges that sort of thing. And I found it very funny that she also what would she do? She would make fun of the fact that, like, men do the bare minimum or whatever, blah, blah, blah. A lot of men are happy with just being weekend dads or whatever. She doesn't like that, which is interesting because if you watch old season of Teen Mom 2, Jo always wanted to be an active father more than just a weekend dad. And she would be like, oh, blah, blah, that's the bare minimum. That's what she should have. He's like, no, I am an amazing father. Or what was this? He had a famous catchphrase for something about that. He's like, I'm an extravagant father or something like that. And she was not here for it. She only wanted him to have like every other weekend, and he did not want that. And now she's acting like every man should want 50-50. When she fought Jo against that, she didn't like that Javi was going to get that automatically in a Delaware state and everything. You know what I mean? So she's just so hypocritical. I don't know how she does not see it. So then she fesses up to smoking weed in high school, which makes it quite funny the way that she had that outrage about Vee hitting a bong back in the day. Remember when she stormed off the stage in her business casual attire at that reunion back in the day? So that's about it, basically, in terms of the recap for the episode. It was very much her talking crap about, the baby daddies and stuff, and not really acknowledging how much this kind of, applies to her own choices in the parenting game when it comes to them as well. Rachel says, I'm not saying Chris is great, but it is safe for him to move closer. Is it safe for him to move closer since they're so turbulent when they have meetups? Imagine how wild she'll act if around the corner. Another interesting thing was, didn't she get a PFA/restraining order against him, and they shouldn't have been like near each other? I'm not saying that impacted him at all, actually, by the way, because I know Chris probably would not care to move close, period, right? But I should take that back, because there's no way Chris, even without a restraining order, was ever going to be near those kids. Yeah. Portia says, I find it so funny that she wants a new baby daddy when she has so many issues with the one she has already. She had custody fights with all of them. She is so backwards. Exactly. That's what makes this episode just so, like, you want to pull out your hair and say, sis, we're so close to 200, y'all. 200 likes, we're so close. It's like, sis, pull up a mirror and look at yourself and look at how all of this, what all of this says about you. Like, you kept trying to keep these kids from these men from these kids. So May says, that's annoying because both Jo and Javi have 50% custody. That's how you know she's bumping fuzzies. Fuzzies. I've heard of ugly, but bumping fuzzies. That's so funny with Javi. Yeah, by the way, she had Javi as a guest on this week's episode of Coffee Combos. And yeah, she's like, I want to play F Mary Kill. And then she acts like she's not the one who suggested the game or the one who suggested all of the combinations, And then, of course, she puts herself in a triad with Brianna De Jesus and some other random person. So she's like, okay, F Mary Kill. Me, Brianna De Jesus, and then this other person. Oh my God. And then she literally asked, who put this question here? I can't believe this question. Oh my God, this is so silly. Sis, you came up with a game and you put that question there because you want him to declare his love for you on that damn podcast, you guys. Like, come on. She's just so fake. Anyway, you guys, this has been a great report. What are we at? 153, and there's 307 of you guys here. What's going on? We're missing like 50. That's okay, you guys. I'm gonna have to get y'all in the next live stream. I'm just joking. Let me share, since we're on the topic of Kale and the rhinoplasty situation. So it's been almost a year for me. I'm almost done my recovery. 10 months. So I wanted to share this picture. I was like, oh, you know what? Let me be a little bit more open with my peeps. Let me share one of my own photos. This was me. I think this was day 1. Can you see? Oh, yes, here. Oh my God. Here you go, you guys. This was me after day 1. I surprisingly did not bruise at all. I was very impressed by that. I just had the chunkiest cheeks for a little while. Oh my God. You know, Kale, it's not easy. You know, I feel like she ultimately is gonna end up getting her rhinoplasty, but sis, it's not easy. But she did have the BBL, which I feel like is a lot more painful than anything. So she will get through this easy peasy. But it takes a while. It's not easy, and it's a journey, and recovery is a long, long time. A long time. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of Kale's Baby Mamas No Dramas podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much to my channel members for chatting as well in the chat box, and to Shan in Van for moderating the chat. It's been so awesome talking to you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I will see y'all in my next video. Oh, sorry. May's asking how was the fan. Honestly, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it maybe a 3. Yeah, you can get by with just Advil or whatever. And I don't think I even really used that. No, I would rate it a 3. It was just uncomfortable more than anything. It felt like having like a hardcore flu. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.